this? How about wives and kids off limits?
Well, that's okay. All you have to do is tell that to Cruz because he started.
If I can get Senator Cruz on the program, I would say the same.
Best of luck to you, Vicki.
WISN Wisconsin talk show host Vicki McKenna in a heated discussion with Donald Trump about the ugliness of this particular campaign cycle and what is being called the GOP War of the Wives. As those two Republican frontrunners continue to spar, a whole lot of folks are arriving at a consensus that wives and kids should be off limits in a presidential campaign. That's a topic to take up with the two gents who join us now. First of all, Skyping in political commentator and a former special assistant to President George H.W. Bush, Doug Wead. Also via Skype from Southern California, political commentator and son of Ronald Reagan, Michael Reagan. Michael is the author of a soon-to-be-released book, Lessons My Father Taught Me, The Strength, Integrity, and Faith of Ronald Reagan. As always, you can find and follow Michael on Twitter at Reagan World. So, Doug, first to you, because, as I understand it, you have some personal experience working in a particular campaign in 1988 and an effort to incorporate Kitty Dukakis, the wife of Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis, into that race. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I got a phone call from campaign manager Lee Atwater, and he said, "Get the word out. Kitty Dukakis has the clap."
Wow.
Well, of course, Kitty Dukakis did not have a venereal disease, but the campaign was trying to force Governor Michael Dukakis, our opponent, into releasing his medical records. And the idea was that if they spread this rumor, which was even worse than what the medical records would show, that would be the device to force it. Atwater later apologized, a deathbed apology to the Dukakis family, but it illustrates how rough politics has always been on wives and children and family.
Well, Michael, your dad, Ronald Reagan, Irishman that he was, certainly knew the old saying, politics ain't beanbag. But with all the campaigns your dad was involved in, Michael, did he expect that sooner or later wives and kids would be involved in the mix in a campaign?
You know, it's really easy to ask this question because it's one of the stories I tell in my new book. You know, sitting with my father in 1960s when you had the Kennedy-Nixon issues going on. And we were sitting at the table at the house in the Pacific Palisades, and he was telling me and Maureen and Nancy, excuse me, about the photographs that the RNC and Richard Nixon had of John F. Kennedy walking into hotels and into hotel rooms and exiting those hotel rooms with other women other than his wife. And Maureen and I said, well, is the RNC going to use those? Is Nixon going to use those in the campaign? And my father said, no, and he shouldn't. The issue is, can he be president of the United States? The issue isn't, is he running to be the husband of the year? That is something between a man and a wife. That is not between the general public and anybody else. And so those stories never came out. Those photographs never appeared. But today in social media, the way the world is today, with all the media that's out there, everything is fair game, and that's sad.
And we can go back further in time. Doug Wead, I know you've got stories about Andrew Jackson and his wife Rachel and what happened and retaliating with William Henry Harrison. But, gentlemen, I need to bring us to the here and now because there's something out there that I, quite frankly, talked about last week. It appears via an op-ed in The Hill, former Congressman Bill Owens is speculating that a brokered Republican convention could pave the way for a Paul Ryan candidacy. Now, I said this last week with that kind of, that quote, interesting speech Paul Ryan made on The Hill. Michael, do you think establishment leaders and big-time donors are really eyeing a Ryan solution to this thing in the convention?
Well, the reality is this. If they overturn Rule 40, yeah, everybody's got a shot. But as long as Rule 40 is in place, no, the only people who have a shot are those who have won 8 states, the majority of delegates. That's why John Kasich got some problems unless he starts doing very well, very quick. And if the Republican Party gets rid of Rule 40 to allow that to happen, you will see most of the people at the convention exit the convention floor and enter Hillary Clinton, the next president of the United States.
Doug Wead, I don't think it's a coincidence that Donald Trump is campaigning in Paul Ryan's hometown this afternoon. Now, what does that tell us? And the fact is that Ryan will have the gavel. That will give him leverage as the convention moves along this summer, will it not?
Yeah, or maybe less. There's no question in my mind that when Ryan keeps talking about an open convention and giving speeches, he's campaigning for president. A lot of those delegates were selected 4 years ago. They were Romney delegates that were cultivated and brought into positions. They're now going to have to vote for Trump or vote for Cruz, but they're actually physically were recruited by the Romney team. And that's why I think Romney gave his speech. He had backlash, but I think he knew what a lot of people didn't know. Hey, they may be committed on the first ballot of the first three, but as Michael Reagan said, they throw out Rule 40, and it's a wide open convention. Some of them would be mine. But I agree with him.
We will have to see what's going on. And, gentlemen, we appreciate having a little trouble with the Skype transmission. Michael Reagan from Southern California. Follow him on Twitter at Reagan World, and presidential historian Doug Wead, obviously pointing out this kind of stuff didn't start in this campaign. You heard what they had to say. I'm interested in what you have to say. Send me your comments. You can send them to me at newsmaxtv.com/comments or on Twitter, where our handle is at Newsmax Prime. When we come back, military and diplomatic dependence of the U.S. ordered out of southern Turkey. We'll talk about it.